Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are watching this video. I'm your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. There are two stories I want to share with you, and they are based on stories I heard from Warren Buffett, one time richest man in the world, one of the people I admire so much. The secret of great men are in their stories. And as a married man, if you want to take counsel, it is best to take counsel from an experienced married man who has had a successful marriage than to go and take counsel from a bachelor or a spinster who have never been married. And so Warren Buffett is a successful businessman and has been there for years. So I looked up the stories he shared. I went to the internet and cross-checked the facts and added flesh to some of the stories, the two stories he shared. This road to success is not a single lane. It has many pathways to financial success. There are many pathways to financial success. And they are all paved with the same material, one way or the other. And there are indicators and signposts that will lead you in the direction of success, no matter where you come from or what you are doing. The story of Rose Blumkin. Rose Blumkin is from, or was from, present-day Belarus. She was Jewish. Her father was a rabbi. So one thing she had was a godly background. A godly background. And not just being Jewish, there are key principles of enterprise that the Jewish people have imbibed from the Bible over the years that they apply to their businesses that make them successful. She first landed in the United States in 1917 in Seattle. And she couldn't speak one word of English. She could not read, she could not write. She only had a tag on her chest that wrote Fort Dodge, Iowa. That is, in those days, if you were carrying children from Nigeria to the US or from US to Nigeria, UK predominantly, you just write the name of the child, write a phone number, write an address, and whoever is supposed to receive the child. They called it posting children in those days. That was how this woman got to the United States to come and meet her husband. And she couldn't learn the language, English, where she settled in Seattle. So she had to move to a place where there were Russian Jews in Omaha. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it rightly. And she went there and she met her fellow Jews and she felt at home. Then her daughter started school because she subsequently had 4 children. Her eldest daughter started school, and what she was being taught in school, she would come and teach the mother at home, and the mother was willing to learn. 3 principles we must learn. Sometimes you need to move. Number 2, it was necessary she united with her husband. If a husband and a wife marry and they are cooperative, they cooperate with one another, they synchronize, it is easier for them to succeed than if 2 of them are going their own ways. Such marriages never produce great financial results. Number 3, the determination to learn. But let me also say, she needed an environment where she could communicate. And so she further moved to Omaha, where Warren Buffett is based, and she could learn the Jewish language, relate with her Jewish people, be comfortable. And then her daughter brought education from her school to the mother. I had an auntie like that, who, my father's younger sister, who did not go to school, but learned how to read and write from her children. My cousin Jimo Egbejule, who eventually retired as a director in the NDDC. It was the books of Jimo and the sister that my auntie learned how to spell and how to write. And in those days, she will communicate with us with spellings. I am H-U-N-G-R-O-Y, and I want to E-A-T. That's how she communicated with us. It got to a point she could now read, she could write, and she could spell. And then she started what was called Try Your Luck business. There was a card with several pictures, and then there was a sealed picture inside. And you will carry an item, either a flask, a bicycle, or a certain amount, and people will pay to guess what is in the sealed portion of the card. And then when the card is finished, when they punctured all the cards, the holes, there were corks, umbrellas, different things that were symbols. When it was exhausted, then they now opened it, and she made a profit from what she was doing. And then that's how she learned how to read. She started by selling a cornmeal called Quaker, Jemmy Quaker. I remember vividly. And the day my cousin opened his beautiful school, I cried like a baby, remembering where we are coming from. My father and the sister who learned how to read and write on her own. Now we run schools. I run schools, my cousin runs schools. And we have graduates all over the world. Our parents couldn't school. So that determination that woman had, if you have that determination to acquire skills and to learn, no matter who you are learning from, you will definitely do well in life. And then that spirit of moving from where you think you are constricted to where you can have space to function is very important. So she saved. For 20 years, she was saving. $50 at a time she was saving. I don't know the interval between, but she was able to bring her parents and bring her siblings to the United States of America. So number one, target savings. Number two, consistency in saving. She saved consistently. She had 4 children, so she was running her marriage, she was learning how to read and write, and she was doing petty businesses by selling second-hand clothing. You see, you can start from somewhere even though you have a bigger vision in front. I have sold second-hand clothing at her back. My wife and I was a medical doctor. I was in charge of a 40-bed hospital, Royal Hospital at number 4 Pobo Road. My wife was a nurse midwife. We were working there. Our total salary was 2,000 naira in 1986, 87. 2,000 naira, my wife will earn 500, I will earn 1,005. But I had set a target that I would open my own practice at the end of the 2-year contract I had with the man. And so I was saving as if I was a slave that wanted to buy my freedom. So Rose Bumpkin was selling second-hand clothing and was saving. I needed to save the whole 2,000 naira that we were earning by selling. I sold second-hand clothing. I ran some village clinics to make sure that that 2,000 naira was saved. And I had a car that I bought during youth service. So I had a loan that the owner of the, I took from the owner of the hospital, I can't remember, but I had a loan I was paying back. So I needed to save. So I saved a lot. So this woman also saved over a period of 20 years. Because in 1937, she opened her own business, furniture business, 20 years later. Now, Warren Buffett said that she started the business with $2,500. But from her biography online, it was said she started with $500, which is the equivalent of $9,171.30. So she started a furniture business, sale of furniture, that had been her dream. So you must have a dream business. But you can start from somewhere and pursue the vision by saving, acquiring skills, acquiring knowledge, and acquiring experience in the community and in the society and life in general. I am not discouraging people from having education, but you can be educated outside the university. You can get education outside the university, street education. So she started the furniture business. She brought a determination to succeed. You must have a determination to succeed. If I tell you the number of things I have done, the stress I put myself under. I was selling second-hand clothing. I was running village clinics. I would carry my wife to the market at Abala, Ibeme, during their market days. I would drive back to the hospital, do surgeries. When I finish surgery, I would go and carry my wife. She might be on duty at night. So there are several things we needed to do to acquire capital to start the practice. So also, this woman started by selling second-hand clothing, and I suspect living frugally and saving her money. So she sold that business to Warren Buffett for $60 million. $60 million. Can you imagine? She started with $2,500 according to Warren Buffett. Other media said it's $500, but she sold it for $16 million in 1983. Yes, in 1983. One estimate puts it at $158 million at the current exchange rate. What was her secret? She worked harder than any other person because she was still working at the age of 103. When she retired, she died at 104. Imagine at the age of 103. I saw her in a video where she was walking with a motorized wheelchair, still selling furniture at 103. She did not start singing, "It won't be long, we'll be going home, count the weeks as days, any day now, we'll be going home." She worshiped, she said, "You, whose God we worship," and where Jesus came from. She did not start talking about end time and rapture. She concentrated on working and putting efforts towards making money. We don't know the story of her husband, so don't stop complaining about your husband. As long as he's not an obstacle. She was doing her business. She had 4 children. You have 1 child, 2 children, 3 children. You are giving excuses for your poverty. That's stupidity. That's laziness. That's docility. You have enough strength to quarrel with your husband, have enough strength to quarrel in the marketplace, but you don't have enough strength to concentrate on your business. And so she worked hard up to the age of 103. Warren Buffett said there was no woman that worked harder than her. She sold with small margins, and she cared about her customers. So customer care. I know Shegun Manuel will be listening to me. Customer care. She cared about her customers. We will see what is written on her grave. She cared about her customers. Today, the 4th generation of this woman are working in that business. Sometimes she retired. When she retired, after 3 months or thereabout, she could not stay in retirement. She came and opened another shop opposite the one she sold to Warren Buffett. Can you imagine that? She opened another business opposite the one she sold to Warren Buffett. You see, let me tell you something about capitalism. Capitalism is free enterprise with very minimal restrictions. She opened this business opposite the one she sold to Warren Buffett. And in 2 years, she started making profit. Warren Buffett went there and bought the second one that is across the street. If Warren Buffett was to be a Nigerian businessman, he would have started sending Holy Ghost fire to go and kill that woman. But he allowed that business to flourish and then bought it over from the woman. Wicked Nigerian will not have been willing to sell, or typical African. But she sold. And today, and after selling, she was still working. So she was not working because of poverty. You don't work because of money. You work because of humanity. You work because it is the first commandment God gave to man. Walk the garden. Work is obedience to God. Work is worship. And worship is worship. It's the value you place on yourself, the value you place on your abilities, the value you place on service, the value you place on humanity, and the value you place on posterity and legacy. She worked till 103 years old, and she was already a multi-millionaire. Andrew Carnegie had millionaires working for him. So you don't stop work because you have made millions. If not, people who are multi-millionaires will not be working. Even Warren Buffett wouldn't be working. So she worked a lot. Now, she died 1 year after she retired, and she was given honorary degrees by New York University and Creating University. Creating University is a Jewish a Jesuit university, about 100 and something years old now. This woman who came that could not read or write, that described herself as a dummy, was given honorary degrees by 2 universities in the United States. On her grave is written, "Sell cheap, tell the truth, don't cheat nobody." Sell cheap, tell the truth, don't cheat nobody. She will source materials, she will source furniture at very affordable prices. Just put minimal markup and then sell. That was how she was able to grow the business and have a great turnover. I want to talk about the story of Jack Crawford. Jack Crawford. Let me look for his Jack Crawford Taylor. I don't know if I'm calling it Crawford with C-R-A-W-F-O-R-O-D. That's the surname of his mother. He put it in between his name, Jack Crawford Taylor, so that the mother's name will not get lost, like as Carlos Slim Elihu put his mother's surname with his name, or his mother's name with his name. So, Jack was born in 1922, and in 1941, during the Second World War, he volunteered to join the army. The army, the Air Force wing of the army. He was turned down. The air wing of the army, he was turned down because he had flu and had hay fever. He went to the Navy after he got well and joined the Navy. And he was flying small fighter planes from a warship that carried an aircraft carrier in the sea. You have aircraft carriers are big ships that have airplanes that fly to go and throw bombs and come back. Then, when he volunteered, he served so well that he won 2 medals. So inherently in him, there is the spirit of nationalism, there's the spirit of patriotism, there's the spirit of volunteerism, and there's the spirit of excellence through service. If you don't have that, you can never do well in anything. I volunteered to take care of lepers. I was taking care of prisoners. I was going to schools to speak to students. I was going to remand homes. I was going to motherless babies' homes. I volunteered to teach in the Sunday school, and I spent my time. I ran the Church of God Mission School profitably. So the ability to think outside your immediate needs, outside your immediate problems, outside your immediate pains, and think about society is key to doing well in life. If not, you'll be very selfish and crafty. So, when he left the army, he started doing some jobs. And one of the jobs he did was a delivery service company. He worked in that delivery service company. Then he was 35 years old. But after some time, he joined another company, a car leasing company, that were leasing out Cadillacs. And at a point, he told his boss that he wanted to be partner in that business and that they should start a leasing company. He was 35 years old then. So one of the key issues is start having your dream early, start building your businesses and your future early. When you have the energy, you have the time, and you can afford to make mistakes. And then since time is on your side, you could have patience and you are not in a hurry. You can bear the stress. So he borrowed money. The condition that Mr. Limburg gave to him was that he must cut his salary into half, 50%, to be part of the ownership of that business, and that he will contribute $2,500. He borrowed $2,500. When you listen to me now that I don't borrow to do my businesses, I don't borrow from banks. I did not start like that. I borrowed 2,500 naira from New Nigerian Bank then in 1988 to make buy my first hospital beds and some other things, despite the savings I had. But paying back that loan was not easy. It kept multiplying like rats. So since then, I have not taken loans. But I could borrow from my friends, borrow from people, and later pay them. So borrowing is not the problem. Borrow from where the interest rates are low. Borrow from where the conditions are low. Interest rates in America and Europe are very low. So he paid back later. So Limburg Cadillac now had the leasing component. And Cadillacs are luxurious cars. So, but business was slow. You see, there's so much impatience in today's society. Business was slow. When somebody came to meet me that I wanted to visit my school, his school is not growing fast, then he came. He had more than 100 students in his school. he came and saw my own. Oh, this is, I told him this is 23 years. I started with my last child and 4 other children 23 years back. And what you are seeing now is 23 years of sweat and blood and sacrifice. So don't think that I just grew, that I have a Midas touch that will just make the place grow. 23 years. We will get to 100, they will remove their children, we'll get to 150. It was when we crossed 150 that we have never turned back. And when we crossed 150, the thing increased geometrically. So, Jack Taylor was such that he didn't have a lot of clients, so he will allow the phone ring 3 times before he picks it up. Will ring, then ring, ring them. He said he wanted to create the impression that he was busy. He did not just jump at the phone. You see, you need to be wise. You need to be strategic. If you don't have the how will I call it? If you don't have the talisman or you don't have the craft to disappear, if you know how to hide very well so that people do not see you, it's the same result. So if you can't disappear, hide very well such that they don't see you, it's the same result. In Yoruba language, it's that a giant needs to be wise to live long. So you don't fight anyhow. So he will leave the phone will ring once, twice, the 3rd time he will pick, so that people will think that there are other clients. And when he started the rental business at 40, you know, he was into leasing 35, 40, he started the rental business. There were cars present in the leasing business. So you could now use these cars to produce money on a regular basis. Instead of leasing the car to the person and you had no real customer care. But when he started his business, he started with 17 cars. And he was going to compete with other companies that had been there. Hertz, H-E-T-S, T-Z, H-E-T-Z, Hertz, Avis, and other rental companies. But he did not go in the direction of these big companies who were majorly in airports. If you go to major airports in the world, you will see Hertz, H-E-R-T-Z, or A-V-I-S, or other car hiring services. He was not allowed into the airport. So there is enough space outside where it's congested. There's always enough space. So much space in a capitalist system for you to thrive. I told you in one of the videos that I saw an anthill at the base of an airport building in Nigeria. I saw anthills in Okada University in Igbinedion's property. So there's enough space for you to do well. So what he did was to pick clients from their homes. And their slogan is that we will pick you up. So he went beyond ordinary car hire or rental. They went and picked people up with Cadillacs. And he delighted his customers. I told you something that it is the way you eat bitter cola that will make somebody beg you. Bitter cola is one kind of nut we have here. It has a taste that grips your mouth, bitter taste. But there's a way you can eat it. Somebody will say, can I have some? You must take delight in what you are doing and delight your customers. I stood by the school of the gate, my school gate. I acted as gate man. I made sure I carried my children, treated them very well out of the cars. I put some on my back in those days when they were crying, newly admitted children. I wiped their nostrils. I washed the toilets. I was the first bus driver. I would go to Ewu, far from here, about maybe 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers from here, and go and carry children. Went to Agbara to carry children, Afesere to carry children. I would cross muddy water to go and carry a child from Anigbe, a shrine The mother dances Igbe, one kind of water spirit dance. I will go there as a pastor and carry the child on my back, use the child to cross the water. The mother felt too big because she was paying for transport to bring the child to meet me on the road. I didn't care. Today, she can't smell where I am. She's still where she is. I've gone. So delight your customers. I used to use my SUV to carry children. And a grandmother said that she must bring her grandchild to my school. That school where they use SUV to carry children. I had one Hyundai bus, very fine, air-conditioned then. And I used it to go and carry children one day. And I saw a grandmother walking past. And she said in Yoruba language, "On a kimoto ewo mwe school, ururi school koromasi yoko." He said, is this a vehicle you use to carry children to school? That the appetite to go to school is coming up in high again. That kind of mother who want to bring, grandmother who want to bring her grandchildren to my school. So you delight in what you are doing. Take delight in what you are doing. And then delight your customers. When you treat men like trash, as I've always said, you can't get their cash. When you treat men like royalty, you get their loyalty. So, then he worked with people who he projected himself into. I have a mentoring group on WhatsApp. Our desire is in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. He said, "What you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to reliable men who are able to teach others." That is, take what is in me and trust them into reliable people who can teach others. That's part of eternal life. It's not only witchcraft and demonic spirits that should be transmitted. Who can transmit anointing, who can transmit skills, who can transmit knowledge, who can transmit wisdom, who can transmit styles to people that will function better than you. So, surround yourself with people who are willing to learn from you. Some ideas thrive better in the minds of recipients than you, the original owner of the idea. So look for, employ people, associate with people, train people, mentor people who can reflect your principles and your ideas with a greater anointing. Some of them might be more educated than you. Some of them might be more talented than you. Some of them can sing better than you. I have people I have mentored. When they want me to send somebody to come and preach, I will say, I'm sending somebody who will preach it better than I can do. And I will send Reverend Samson Bojo, send other people, and they have performed well. So, project yourself into your workers. Your workers will now transmit this joy into the customers, this excitement. Warren Buffett rightly said that you might forget the cost of a product and forget the cost of a service, but you can never forget the experience. So I go back to my marketing strategy. Number one, leave a mark in the mind of your customer. Number two, leave a memory in the mark of your customer. Number four, create momentum for them. Let them leave you with a spring and a joy and a feeling that they have arrived at a level of value than when they came to meet you. That means let every person leave you better than they met you. And then before you make money for yourself, make money for them. Save them some money. Save them some money. And when you do that, your customers will keep coming back and keep recommending you. That is one of the greatest forms of advertisement. Most times you don't get it right at the first time. The first few years were difficult with 17 cars, but they eventually grew to 6,000 cars. And as at when Warren Buffett was narrating the story, the man's value is what more than the company value is more than all the major competitors that were existing before he started joined together. So overtaking is allowed in the Autobahn of life. In Germany, Autobahn is a speedway where there is no speed limit. You can drive as fast as you want, so far you don't die. So life is like an Autobahn. Drive with the rules of driving, drive according to your capacity, but overtaking is allowed. So he was wasting his talent at one time when he was doing the car leasing business. So find out where you can excel better. Use the Pareto principle of 80-20, where 20% of your efforts will bring 80% returns, while 80% of your efforts will bring 20% returns. Concentrate on those areas where you get your maximum returns, where your talent can be maximally utilized. That was what he did. But he turned an ordinary business to an extraordinary business by bringing in an extraordinary approach. It is that little extra that you add to ordinary business that makes you extraordinary. The ability to know that extra, to bring in, is what makes you extraordinary. So he gave his customers a great experience. So it is not whether you get the business right in the first instance. It is whether you are willing to continuously take delight in what you are doing and to delight your customers and have them coming back to you. See, it is not just to generate content here. I must make you feel delighted when you watch me, when you listen to me. When I preach on radio, like the last message I preached on radio, and I will encourage you to download the World Radio application and look for Quest FM 93.1. And you'll be able to listen to me every Wednesday by 6:30 a.m. If you download Mega FM from Google Play Store or whatever, you'll be able to listen to me every Tuesday by 6:30 a.m. So I try to put humor in my messages. I try to make people laugh because some of my language, some of the languages I use are quite hard and even obscene in quotes. But that's the way I am designed. That's the way I was called. I was not called to speak to people in gentility because I was going to deal with troublesome, hard people. To preach in Nigeria with our kind of mentality, you need to be hard, man. You need to break rocks, break the hearts of stone. If not, they won't pay attention to you. So, the next thing, all I have been saying, do your business by reflecting yourself through other people so that they can represent you effectively. Then, the spouse you marry, according to Warren Buffett, matters a great deal. Whatever we are today, my wife is a major contributor. My wife is like Rose Blomkin. She has gone out to cooperative. 99% of what we are today is as a result of the tenacity, hard work, consistency, sacrifice, frugality of my wife. Our romance is not important, but we know how to settle our issues. But she is the engine room, the driver, the builder. So the spouse you marry matters. If you marry a selfish woman who is only thinking about herself, she will frustrate you. You marry a man who is not willing to give you space to function as I've given to my wife, you will frustrate the abilities of the woman. Like Rose Blomkin, her husband was not constituting a clog in her wheel of enterprise. So, associate with people more intelligent than you, and then let your business grow on itself. Today, the man's children are working in that car company, the enterprise rental company. His children, Jack Crawford Taylor, His children are working in that business. His granddaughter is managing another arm of the business. So these people have learned to build generational businesses. There was something that Warren Buffett said that surprised me. And I had to change some of my impressions. I've been thinking recently that we can sell shares in our schools, bring in investors, and then, if possible, even sell the businesses so that we can go and enjoy ourselves. He said that early retirement and not doing something in old age that keeps you busy can lead to early death. Then, another thing he said that man was wise not to sell his business to him. So ensure you don't throw away your destiny prematurely by selling it out or giving it out. I remain your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. Remember to subscribe to this channel. And remember to share it with others and visit our bookstore, petrapublications.com, and reach me on +234 7052 136763. God bless you.